And good afternoon, good evening to everybody. I'm SMB and this is Codebase Alpha and doing episode 25. Let's go over to our just chatting scene for a second. So yes, here we are in the control room at Codebase Alpha, and this is a bit of a later stream than normally scheduled. It's due to work commitments, so I do apologise for any inconvenience that's caused to people. It's quite difficult to actually have this slot regularly, but it might be something we might look at in the future, either this slot or a bit later. But next week I do hope to return to the 4 o'clock slot. So I'll keep you abreast of if this is going to be kind of a permanent change, or if we're going to move the Wednesday slot around a bit. But I do quite enjoy doing the early show. So this afternoon, wherever you are, we're going to be looking again at our conversational chatbot, which we're writing in the Microsoft Bot Framework. The version 4.4 is what we're using at the moment, and that's the very latest version. There is a minor point upgrade, which we will probably do at some point, but I'm not going to bother with that now because they're probably just bug fixes, and we're not coming across any major bugs at the moment in the actual framework itself. So what I'd like to do is just return to some of the SADPath programming that we were doing last time, because I did notice that it doesn't behave quite right in the set time zone dialog. If you put in rubbish, it needs to kind of handle that a bit better than it does at the moment. It just basically crashes. And then we'll look at adding a new feature, so adding some power to the bot. We'll add the Who's Live Now feature, and then if we've got the time, we may begin to look at adding some natural language processing to the bot, just a little bit, not an awful lot. So basically we'll add a kind of a help intent, and then in a future stream, probably next Wednesday, we'll be looking at maybe expanding that to take care of other intents. Next Monday is a bit of a departure from the stream again. It's a special stream which our friend Fuel Snowball is going to be guesting on, and we're going to be looking at some F# coding, and he's going to kind of walk me through generating a parser in F#. So that should be something different, really, just as a break from doing bot work. Okay, so let's go back over to the code and have a look where we are. So we're sat here in the chatbox bot class, the main class that we're working with, and I can start the bot up just by running this solution. Let's do that, and then let's bring up our emulator. So this is the endpoint where our bot is currently listening, and if we go over to the bot emulator, the bot framework emulator, we can connect to our bot by entering that URL and then API/messages on the end of that URL, and we can connect. Once we connect, we'll get a welcome message, and we'll get our hero card with our 4 options. So the 2 options which are currently running are the number 2, which is the find out when a stream is broadcasting next, and the reset my time zone. And I've explained several times that in normal course of usage and live, then we have state regarding a user, and that would be kind of persisted in some kind of storage such as Azure Blobs or Cosmos DB. We'll use Azure Blob when we go up into Azure. And so it'll already, if you've already entered your time zone, you don't have to enter it again. But in this case, imagine we're a fresh user, and we can either select one of the options. So, for example, we can select number 2, and because we don't know our time zone and it wants to know when a stream is broadcasting next, it'll actually fill that time zone out. Or if we've already got a time zone, we can set and reset it with option 4. Let's just hit number 4 here to begin with. So it's going to ask us for our country. It defaults to the United States, but we've actually got a full list of all countries here. And this is coming from a NuGet package called Time Zone Names. So these are all the countries which have a time zone DB entry in that package. And we can select Bolivia or whatever, and we press submit. This is what's called an adaptive card. This is what I've just highlighted up in this kind of ochre colour. And an adaptive card, when we press the submit button, is basically going to do a post back to our bot, and we'll pick that up from a post back JSON that comes back to us. But if we don't hit submit, and we type in the message, and we might say we're in the US, we type in US and hit return, you can see it says something went wrong, type menu and press enter to continue. And if we do that, we get back to our menu, or we should do. And that's interesting, it hasn't done that. So we're in a kind of a broken state. So we really need to sort out what's going on here. And we need to figure out why we've got this sorry it looks like something went wrong message. So let's restart the conversation. Let's go over to our bot, and we'll view the output window, and we'll see what we've got in here, if anything of any use. So we've got an exception that was thrown, as you can see, and the exception is unexpected character encounter with passing the value U. So U was the first character of US that we entered, and this is happening in the JSON parser, the JSON reader here. So JSON reader exception. So basically, wherever we're passing JSON is where we're expecting something to come in from the postback event, and that's actually, it's not sending JSON, it's simply sending text through. And so of course the JSON parser is failing at that point. So we need to have a look at where that's actually happening, and that is happening in the set time zone dialog, which is where our adaptive cards are living. As you can see here, this is the get country step async, and the first thing we do is create a country card, and that's our adaptive card, and we've put that as an attachment to our reply. And then we feed that through to the next step of the dialog. So the dialog steps are get country and then get time zone. If you look in the get time zone, so that result's going to come through. The first thing we do here, well, the second thing is we try to parse some JSON, and we haven't got any JSON. So we need to take care of that, really. So let's pop a breakpoint here and see what actually got in result. We should have US in the result. Let's give that a go and see what happens. So the bot's running. We can go to our emulator, restart the conversation, set my time zone. We type in, rather than taking any notice of what the bot's wanting us to do, which is select from the adaptive card, we type in US, bang. So we've hit here, and in result we've actually got oh, it's thrown an exception, or it's going to throw an exception. So it knows it's going to throw an exception at this point. But if you can see here, if we hover over, where is it? Come on, there it is. So the step context.result is the text US. So what we could do with doing is making sure that we actually got some JSON coming back. So that the object, the string here, which we're going to cast, is actually going to be JSON. Now we're also doing cast, and it could be that this result here, so if we hover over here and we see what a result is, currently it's a string, but it's actually an object. So we need to make sure we do a save cast first as well. So let's kind of tackle those problems. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure we actually are going to be able to do a cast. So let's just do that. So if step context.result, so let's say is not null, and step context.result is a string. So we've got a non-null value in there, and it is a string. So our conversion is actually going to work. So what do we do at that point? If it is, we actually carry on. We do what we want, which is to prompt for the time zone. Other than that, we need to figure out what we're going to do. So we'll just put an else, and we'll put a to do in there. What next? Okay. So if we look at the next part of the dialog, it's persist data step. So it's going to expect us to have a time zone, and it's going to persist that time zone. So we're not going, if we don't have this result in here, if this result is null or it's not a string, then we're not going to be extracting the country, and we're not going to be getting a time zone. So what we could do is actually default the time zone, which is what I think we will do. Well, we could actually do more than that. We could do more than that, but we're gonna do if we haven't got a time zone for some reason because there's something wrong here, we're going to default the time zone. So we're going to say that okay, so we're going to send the time zone in the result here. So that's really not a sensible thing to do. We're actually just going to do next dialog, I think. So step context, next async. I'm just going to do that for now, and just catch that situation where we haven't got anything here through into in the next piece of the dialog, and we just need to await that because it's asynchronous. Okay, Matthew, welcome to the stream. Fierce Neighbour, welcome to the stream. It stutters a lot, is it? I wonder why. So, Matthew, is your video and audio okay, or is it me just kind of speaking quietly, making it stutter? I'm a bit disappointed if it is stuttering. So, if you could have a report from people in chat. So, Matthew saying it seems fine. Coded Bird, welcome to the stream. Good evening. Good to see you. Glad you could make this slightly later stream. So, if anyone else has any reports of bad video or audio, let me know. It's been fine, Coded Bird. You've been lurking. Okay, thank you for the report. That's really so. If you're stable, just keep an eye on that. Try doing an F5, refreshing the stream from your end to make sure that see if that fixes your issue. M Holloway, sounds good. Looks good to you. Oh, thank you very much, M Holloway 24. Thank you. I've not seen you in chat before. You might have been lurking, of course. So do follow if you like what you see. It does help me out, and we are heading towards our new goal of 200 followers. So we're trying to hit that before. Well, there's a date in there. I can't remember what the date is exactly, but it's a significant date. I can't remember what I set it to now. You were lurking. So M Holloway, you must have a first name, but I'll call you M Holloway for want of a better thing. So sorry if it's a bit formal. Okay. So we've kind of taken care of this. We're not returning anything. We need to return that. That's what that problem is. Need to return it. There we go. That should fix that. There we go. So the next thing is we need to make sure we're going to be able to parse this string, because we know it's a string now. We need to know we can parse it as a JSON object. So I wonder how we can do that. I'm not really sure how you do that. You know it's going to be parsable. So let's ask DuckDuckGo. So C# test if string is JSON. Let's see what it says. How to make sure a string is a valid JSON. So that's a bit of Stack Overflow using JSON.NET, which we are. So through code as try catch. I'm not really a fan of that, but we can see. JSON.NET parse a string using jtoken.parse. It checks if it starts with, and also check if it starts with a curly brace. Okay. JSON container.parse string to check if the string is valid JSON. It throws an exception if it's not. We don't really want to do flow control by throwing exceptions if we can help it. But this is all predicated, look, on using exceptions as flow control, which is a bit of an anathema to me. Why to pass a fuel snowball? Yes, absolutely. Yes, we could do that. Maybe we'll do that next Monday. So I guess for the simplest thing we can do, the simplest thing that can possibly work, the only way to do it is a full pass, yes, but the parsing can found the last character. But the simplest thing we could do at the moment is make sure that the first character is an opening curly brace. Yeah, see, everyone's suggesting using exceptions. Don't like that. It isn't a try pass, isn't it? I wonder if there's a try pass these days. So let's have newtonsoft.json. Try pass. Deserialize JSON in a try pass way. So what's this going to say? So basically they're asking the same question. How can they actually tell if they've can have a successful pass? So this is defining a schema, and if this is not right, is it? Because we know that jobject.pass is going to throw, so it's never going to get to is valid. And it's also wanting a schema. We don't really know what the schema is going to be. It can vary. What's this person saying? A good catch-free version. So here they're taking a string in. They're setting a JSON serializer. So they're deserializing the object and returning success. And success gets set to false on an error of the serializer. This always returns true for empty objects, but that's not a bad thing unless you use JSON property required equals required always in your result class. We don't want to use the try catch approach. So let's kind of bookmark that piece of code. Can make a schema that accepts anything. That's true. So many JSON parsers are way too smart. Yeah. Yes, fuel snowball. We don't. I think we'll skip. I don't like the schema bit either. I'm not so sure about this, but we could give it a go. It's a string extension, isn't it? Should we try it? Let's give it a go, and see what happens. So let's create an extensions folder. And in here we'll create a class, new item, string extensions. Oops, that's supposed to be string. Add that. Public static. That's that, and then just drop that in. And we're going to need to bring in some namespaces here. Got JSON soft, and we can probably lose all of this. So it's try pass JSON. It's going to return. It's going to return an object. Okay, let's have a look, see how that would fit into what we're trying to do. So here we're getting a J object back. I was wondering if this is once again predicated on knowing what we're going to get. Let's give it a go. Let's try it out. It may be this isn't going to be what we want to do. So, so we want to say something like var. No, we want to say var past, and we'll change this up when we've got it actually working. Past equals this all looks a bit messy with the casting there, but let's once again do the minimum that we can do. So is it a string at this point? An object still. So we need to say that result is going to be that, and then if results dot try parse JSON, this should be a string at this point. And we need to grab that and bring it in. And this is going to be out var country JSON. I believe that should be what we need to do. Okay, let's have a look. What is it wanting? This string, this. And then out. Oh, it's going to pass out. Okay, and then we need, that's weird. If it's an extension method, why are we having to pass result into it? No, it doesn't take 2 arguments, that's absolutely right. It takes 1 argument. This is saying type arguments cannot be inferred from the usage. This is what I figured it wasn't going to be able to work out. So this is going to be a J object. Is that going to make it happy? I think it will. Okay, it's got an extra bracket we don't need. So if that, then once again we're going to be skipping over extracting the country, aren't we? So then we'll process then we'll extract the times the country into here and set the user state. Okay, well we'll just do that. Okay, so if it is JSON, if that can be parsed as JSON, then we're going to have an else here to do something else with it. So let's just test that we can actually do what we want, and it's going to go into this, going to go through this try parse. So we'll do a happy path. Ancient Coder, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. So Fuel Stable says you tried improving the stability of the image loading in the latest shader. Oh, that'd be great. Super. So so which shader have you tried to improve Fuel Stable? Was it the hyperspace hype or the electric? So Fuel Stable has done a new shader for us, which I'm going to demonstrate to you in a second. But So which image stability did you do? Because I did increase slightly the size of the hyperspatial height, which is this one. It's slightly bigger than it was before, and the stream should still be stable at this size. If I make it any bigger, it has had a bad effect on the stability of the stream. But if you've done some work on that, that'd be great. So this is the hyperspace hype, which we tend to use when we get a subscription or something like that. And then the other one that FuelStable's done for us is quite a fun one. And I'm going to put some sound effects with this one. I think it's silent at the moment. So electric. So here's the electric. Let's see what it comes up like. So that's an electric Alf. I think we're going to try and have some electric buzzing or something like that with that one, but I haven't found the correct sound effect yet. So those are really quite fun. I think they're quite fantastic little kind of effects for the stream. So really grateful to FuelStable for spending some of his time. I'm sure it's enjoyable time playing with his shaders, but also then giving me the opportunity to use those on stream, which is really kind of him. Okay, so let's run this up. We're going to go the happy path. We're going to press the submit button for the US, and we'll see what we get out of the parser. Okay, so here we are on the emulator. Let's hit restart conversation. Press reset my time zone. We're going to set submit. So this is the happy path. We hit here. So the object that we've got in result is basically a piece of JSON. So we should step through this now, and we will pop it into here, and we're going to get the country out. So we set the country code to US, and then we set the state. Okay, so that's good. If we don't, we're going to drop down into this else, and I think what we need to do, we need to find out if the user actually entered a useful country code themselves. Did they type in US? I'm not sure we can cope with them typing in United States, but we might be able to do that as well. So FuelStable says you wanted to find a new pattern to load the electric image. Looks like the old one. You don't think the new one speeds up over time? The old one did by mistake. Okay, and on the electric one. So let's give that electric one a go again. Is that speeding up? So it is speeding up, isn't it? Yeah. I do love that. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Okay. Okay, so there's a couple of things we can do here. We can find out if they entered US, and we can find out if they entered, Antigua or a valid country. And we should be trying to do this kind of thing because we need to allow the user type in text as well. And if it's good text, we should use it. Okay. How are we going to do that then? Okay, so let's have a look at the so we're looking at country. On the country card, we're using this time zone names package here, and this contains a list of countries as a dictionary with a key, which is going to be a country code, and a title, or a value rather, which is the name of a country. So let's have a look at what we can do with that. Let's bring in time zone names to set time zone dialog like that. And we're probably going to want to pull this out into a method, but we'll just write it in line for now. We probably want to actually do the whole of this as some kind of method, but let's think what we can do. So we know we've got a string, but we haven't got JSON. So we're going to assume that the user's tried to type in a country code or a country name. So I'll just put a note: a user may have entered a country code or country name. So, so this value is what's in result. So, if result dot length is 2, so they've typed in a 2-character code. Now this, once again, this might not be the final code, but let's do the minimum thing that can possibly work. If it's of length 2, then that's likely to be a country code they've entered. Else, it's likely to be them trying to type in a country name. So there aren't any 2-letter countries, are there? Don't think there are. Don't think there are any 2-letter countries, so we should be safe to do this. So let's grab the dictionary. So so var countries is equal to time zone names dot get country names. Is that get country names what we used? Let's have a look. Country card. Get country names, and then we needed a language code. So that'll be, we'll use US English, EN US. So we've got that. That's our dictionary of countries. So we say if countries countries dot keys, is there a key? Country dot keys, yeah. Dot contains, there's contains, there we go. If it contains results dot to upper, because they're uppercase strings, then we can match up the number of braces, brackets rather. Okay, so if it, so then we hit jackpot really. Then it's a two character country code and it's valid. Then basically what we want to do is do that. We're going to set the country code to the result. Like that. Otherwise, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab that and pull that out, I think. This is what is saving the user selection. We're going to do that down here anyway. So we're always going to save what they put in. We're going to save something at least. So if that's the case, we're going to save it. Otherwise, it just contains rubbish. Else, basically, it's the same piece of code. If this time values contains the result, and not to upper this time. So I'm not sure what the casing is going to be. If it's going to be case sensitive, it probably is. So they might have to type united values dot. Let's just do this for now and see what happens. So user selection country code then will equal countries. So we'll equal what's it going to equal? The Michael Jolly, welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. Yes, it's a slightly later stream we've got today, so I'm glad that we've got some people who've remembered that the stream was different and picked up perhaps the Discord messages or the all the tweets. That's really good. Yes, Ancient Coder, I do put all my videos up on YouTube. All of them are up to date now, so my YouTube channel is here. Please do go over to it and subscribe. It's obviously free to subscribe to a YouTube channel, and you'll get notifications when I push new videos up there. But yes, they're up there. It's the full set of 24 videos up there, and you'll see how the stream's kind of evolved over the past few months from very basic start. With no webcam to the ironing board era, as it will be known, and then we've now got the green screen. We're floating in code, and we're starting to get some kind of some nice little effects to kind of differentiate the channel from other channels. So, yep, that's where they all are. So do check that out. Everyone who's interested in previous videos. So. Previous videos, the first 3 episodes cover the creation of a secure web API using JWT bearer tokens, and then we've moved on after that to create an Alexa skill from scratch, which was part of the DevStreams project, which Brendan Enric is running over on his his Dev Chatter stream. After that, we had a series of streams where we built a GraphQL endpoint for DevStreams project as well, and integrated that with a PR into his project. We had a little interlude when we played with the AlphaBot. AlphaBot's not currently running. I will start it up a bit later on, I think. One thing we also are missing as well, we're missing some music, aren't we? So let's have a bit of music, and I'll get my headphones. There we go, so I can hear the music as well. So yeah, I need to chill out tonight. And then we integrated the GraphQL endpoint into Alexa, and then we moved on to this Microsoft Bot Framework piece. So yes, this is the common thread so far through all the vids has been the use of Web API. I'm not saying that's going to continue forever, but it seems to be just an accidental kind of common thread, which is quite pleasing when you kind of start planning out streams that there is some commonality. And if that music is too loud, let me know. You want to look at the GraphQL videos, Ancient Coder? Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So they're query only, so there's no mutations or subscriptions in there yet. I do want to go back and look at mutations and subscriptions for GraphQL. But currently we have no need to do mutations, which are basically updates via the DevStreams endpoint. But that may come. Depends what kind of clients people start building. So our clients so far, there's Alexa, and then there's this chatbot. But other people can use the endpoint. The music's perfect. That's great. Thank you very much. So the user section's country code is going to be. So we know it's in here. We want to try and get key, really, don't we? Got the value. We want to get the key from the value. Can we do it this way? I don't know. I don't know how to do this bit. Let's Google it. Oh, sorry, I don't know really how to do that. So what we want to do is, as per such, the electric alpha is wired up as your sub animation. It's not wired up as a sub animation, no. It's just a button on my Stream Deck, as per such. So it's a manual thing at the moment. So all it's doing, there's actually a source which is hidden on the screen, and it just reveals that source for 10 seconds and hides the source again. So it's actually a browser source looking at a website which Pure Snable created. Okay, so so actually he's saying that if you're able that in the Newtonsoft source, the way Newtonsoft tells you about invalid JSON is through an exception. I just find that a bit, yeah, but okay. But if that's how they're saying do it, that's fine. But we've got another way now, so let's stick with the that that extension method, which does seem to be does seem to work. What are we trying to find? So we're trying to find C# find key from value in the dictionary. Get dictionary key by value. There we go. Yeah, so it's very similar to how we kind of thought it would work. So first or default x.value equals thing.key. Yeah. Okay, so we're pretty close. So we better not use the word value. Let's use C. That's interesting. Oh, first or default. And we know it's the first because we know it's in there, don't we? We know it's there. Result. Key, wasn't it? That's what they suggested. So we're having some issues here. So it's a method. Okay. So what are they suggesting? Interesting. So C is a string. Oh, it's got keys there, that's why. There we go. There we go. So the country code is going to be that. So I'm a bit dubious about this equals. So what we need to do is do 2 lower on there. And a 2 lower on there. Country values contain. So this is where it's going to be a bit of an issue, isn't it? So let's do a first or default, and we say that if it's not, so we won't set that in. So we'll have var country is that, and if country not equal to null, only then will we say that this is country code. Let's just call it code. Then only then do we set the country code equal to code. So as a default, we can set our country code to the empty string, and we'll do that here. String.empty. Okay. And we don't need that comment anymore. Okay, so if we now type US in, or we type United States, we'll need to test what happens. So let's do that. Let's run it up. So S&B says, Fuel Snowball says, how does the extension method work? It tried to do it does a serialization from JSON. If the serialization fails, then there's an error message, an error kind of state which is set, which is probably doing an exception, isn't it, under the covers? Let's be perfectly honest with us. Yeah, I don't know why it shouldn't be that heavy air. If you like the electric elf I've hosted here, be careful, it kills my low-end Mac. Is it really? So thanks for posting that into chat. Fuel Snowball, let's say we're going to enjoy that. Okay. That's pretty white, isn't it? Let's get rid of that. Let's bring up our emulator. Let's restart our conversation. We're going to go into this set time zone again, and we're going to type. This time we're going to type in US, lowercase. I'm in the US, you say. We've hit here, and then we're going to step through. So here we didn't pass it. We're going to get the countries. Default our, so 257 countries, we're going to default our time zone to the empty string. If it's 2 characters, is the US in there? Yes, it is. Continue. And now we're being asked for our time zone. So we've got the US time zones here. So it's a short list of time zones. We've got 257 countries, but only a short list of time zones, and they're all US time zones, which is the kind of object of the exercise, really. There are an awful lot more time zones, which is why we don't list all the time zones and for people to pick. They're very confusing. So here, once again, we've hit an error, look. So it's probably the same kind of error, but let's just test that we can now carry on. And we're going to put in United Kingdom in there, hit return. We now hit our breakpoints, and you can see we've got our visual debugging here that's been brought to us from CodeRush, and you can see we've actually got a little diagram here that CodeRush is put in of the kind of the binary options. But if there's a tree, this will actually bring out the tree and shows which side of the tree, if it's a complex tree of if there else is, which side of the tree you're going to come down on. So it's quite good. Stallpenner, welcome to the stream. Yes, I was very sorry to hear your news on Discord. So you have my deepest sympathies. So, but yes, feel free to lurk, and there's no need to kind of join in. But thank you for letting me know that you're in stream. It's good to know. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to pass over that. We hit our else. Once again, the length isn't 2, and you can see how CodeRush has de-emphasized this code that's inside the if statement here. So this code here is all de-emphasized. So we know it's never going to go in there. This is highlighted, so we know it's going to go in, and we should now pick out GB. We do, and we get GB. We continue, and then we're going to hit a error again. But it has brought up United Kingdom time zone here. So the only other thing to do is to restart our conversation. Go here. We'll type in Wakanda as our country, which of course is a real country, as you all know. We hit here. We continue. And we've hit Universally Coordinated Time as a default time zone, but we've bombed out again here. So we need to figure out what this is, what's bombing out there for. So we seem to have recovered from one set of errors, only to hit another one. So let's just stop our code. So we need to extract all this out, don't we? Let's get rid of that. So all this is basically doing is setting as a result, isn't there? So let's grab this code, and we will extract a method from it. and we'll call it get country code. And what we're saying is that user selections dot country code user selections. Country code is going to equal that. So let's go and have a look at what this is doing. So we won't make it static. It's going to return a string. Do we need to take user selections in? I don't think we don't need to take user selections in. We can simply return that. And here we don't need to do that. Here we simply return that. We return code. And if we drop through all of those, return string.empty. Okay. We don't need that anymore. We're just passing the step context in, which is fine. Okay. So now let's move this out of the way so it's not sitting in the middle of our steps, our waterfall dialog steps. Put it down the bottom here. Okay. So here is what we seem to be hitting another error, and it's probably because of this, isn't it? So let's just stick a breakpoint here and run it up again. Let's see what happens. Yes, thank you, M. Holloway, for that. Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you. I'm not sure what happened there. M. Holloway, I'm not quite sure exactly what happened there. So that's Nightbot maybe being a bit overzealous. So I do apologise if you didn't use a cuss word at that point. If it's probably just a typo. But yeah, okay. So just so you know, anyone who's not been in the stream before, we've got Nightbot dialed up to maximum. Yeah, fat fingered, yes. No, it doesn't matter. I do understand that. Anyone who knows me as SMB in other streams, my typing is appalling. It's pretty appalling on stream here as well, but in chat it's terrible. So yeah, I do apologise that you got a slap from our Nightbot there, but it is dialed up to the max because I haven't actually got any moderators running in chat at the moment. So I do intend to try and ask some people to help me moderate. Okay, where were we? So we were going to just restart our conversation and try and hit this breakpoint here, so weren't we? So we went into here. If we hit submit, we should be fine. Submit that. We've hit here. We should be able to continue. And yeah, so we've got Pacific Honolulu. If we run reset now. Here we're going to type in US, and we've hit down here, and this is going to throw an exception because the result that's come through here is US. Really? So that's That is interesting, isn't it? The result US has come through. It doesn't. It's not. That's going to be a problem for us, isn't it? So what is happening is okay. I think we can cope with this. What's happening here is that in the main class here, chatbox bot class, there's this line of code, continue dialogue. Now, I don't think that's supposed to be there. Hello, Rambling Geek. Welcome to the stream. So we're doing some more sad path programming at the moment. I do hope to do some more happy path stuff at the moment. But we're just trying to make our bot a bit robust, so it actually handles some user input. People not bothering to use the menus that we've given them. You're struggling to keep up with all the streamers. Yeah, there's so many live coding streamers now, and so many great streams. And yeah, you just can't watch them all. So normally, I think Rambling you do sometimes do a pop-up stream on a Wednesday, don't you? And I do try to keep tabs on Little E Blaster as well when he does his little streams. They're really quite fun. But yes, there's loads of people. And such great content. I mean, Michael Jolly has a fantastic stream. Rambling Geek, you've got a great stream. We got Brendan, we got Jeff, we got Gareth, who sometimes does a Wednesday, but I think he was unwell yesterday and didn't stream on the Tuesday. Clarkio for a really kind of funky way out kind of stream, and so many others. We got Robert Tables with his hardware streams, which I really love when I can catch those. So it's just a wide variety. Yeah, it's an abundance of riches at the moment. So long may it continue. And I'm hoping that the live coders stream, which is going strong now, will actually ensure that lasts. Yeah, so I know that you have streamed Rambling Geek the last 2 weeks, but you haven't got the energy. So I'm amazed I've got the energy. And I've had a really busy two days, all day meetings for 2 solid days, and it's been training. So I'm quite surprised I'm actually still going here. Yes, most of the live coder streams are great, Ancient Coder. They are wonderful, and there's some developments coming along with that live coder stream, which are quite interesting. So there's shared GitHub and other kind of things which are in the kind of pipeline to kind of boost the profile of the live coders. Now we've now got 2 partners in there. So Jeff Fritz is a partner, Twitch partner, and Lana Lux is a partner as well. And you never know, we might get some more. And it'd be great if we start building up the kind of partner status of the stream as well. Gives us a lot more kind of clout really as a group. Okay, so I think we're coming in here and we're hitting this. We're going through twice basically. So there's one thing we can do. One thing we can do is to comment this out, but I think then we have problems displaying the main menu. As you can see here, we're detecting whether the status is complete. Let's try. Yeah, this is difficult. Because we want the dialogue context. So results.status. Okay, we're going to leave that in for the moment. I'm pretty sure that's why we're getting this kind of dual thing. So as per such, Cobalt Alpha must follow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, as per such. That's a very, very kind comment, and I do really appreciate that. So yeah, if you haven't followed anyone who's in chat, then I really, really would appreciate a follow. But there's no obligation to do so, of course. But do check me out on Twitter as well, and do a follow on there, just to keep abreast of kind of when we have these changes to schedules or pop-up streams, which I do hope to do some pop-ups when time allows, when kind of family commitments allow. So as per such, you're enjoying your nice green rocket now. So I've got there's a new sub badge which has just been loaded up, which is a 6-month badge, which is a beautiful orange rocket. So we're going to kind of break from the coloured rocket theme eventually, and we'll have satellites and space stations and planets and kinds of kind of cosmic kind of things. But so I just loaded that up for the 6-month sub badge, and we're going to get some more emotes as well. So I'm trying to set up another emote with our artist who does the Alfs. He's great. He's a UK artist, and he does some anime stuff. But actually getting to engage him is very, very popular. So I'm trying to organise that with him at the moment. Okay, so this is what I believe is happening. We're hitting this continued dialogue and going through the dialogue twice, which isn't right. But I don't know how to detect. There's something not quite right going on here. We shouldn't need to do this. But if I comment that out, so I believe that we shouldn't need to do anything when we're in status of waiting, when we're kind of in mid. Oh, there's Alf appeared in. Thanks, Michael Jolly, for putting Alf in the chat. Alf, our alien space colleague, who's one of the crew members aboard the code base here. It came over from Codebase Beta some time ago. Let's just see what happens. I think this gives us issues, but it may be that it's going to give us issues either way. But I think we can cope with it going through twice. So let's restart the conversation. We hit there, we press here, we submit United States. Have we hit a breakpoint? We haven't hit a breakpoint, and see, it stopped, which is the kind of thing I think that's what we got that code in there. Our adaptive cards, because we're using postbacks, aren't quite working correctly. Well, they're not working in the way they would if we had simple text returns. So let's bring that back and run again, and to make sure it now functions as we expect it to. Have I just killed it off? No, it's still running. It's got too much white there. Let's just minimise that. Restart conversation. Pow. Pow. And there we go. So that's still working. Now we've hit here, and we know this is going to fail because it's got US in it. Oh, it's got Honolulu this time. Okay, that's right, because we didn't put US in. So let's stop at this point. What we can do is use the same kind of code we had up here. So we're going to say we're going to pinch that piece of code there. So we're going to assume people aren't going to type their time zones in. I think that's probably one of the things. Yes, we did have the show ALF, Alien Lifeform, the Michael Jolly in the UK, and that's kind of where it came from. Someone suggested Alpha, and someone suggested Alf, and it just seemed an obvious choice to call him Alf, the alien life form. Yeah, exactly that. I think the alien life form in Alf was a bit kind of funkier than our Alf. We got a more of a classic one-eyed green alien with an antenna, which is I think he's really great. So I'm really pleased with him. Okay, so we do need to protect ourselves against this cast. So let's just make sure that we pop our protection against that into here. So we're going to just pass through if it's null or it's not a string. We're not going to attempt to do anything with JSON parsing. So what do we want to do? We want to make sure we have got a JSON object here. Okay, so let's pinch this piece of code and say this is going to be time zone JSON though. And we don't need that bit of code anymore. So if it end dialogue, that's the problem, isn't it? Okay, let's pull that out. So let's think in the happy path, all is well. In the happy path, we go through here, we extract a time zone out because it is a valid piece of JSON, and we reset the user state. Otherwise, it contains US because we've been through the continued dialogue twice. We're going to return null. I wonder what that's going to do. Let's try it. Let's stick a breakpoint there. So this is one of those things where this may work fine, but it may have unintended consequences at some point. So we need to try and understand. I think we need to understand why we're getting this strange behaviour. But I think it's because we're using postbacks and adaptive cards. So here we've hit our time zone. We're going to type in US. We're going to hit return. We've hit our time zone. We've got US in here. We step in. We're going to fail that pass. We're going to return null. So we've come out of our on continued dialogue there, and something went wrong because we returned null. It's just that it did put up our correct time zone, and then that's the disappointing thing, that so that's not the right thing to do, to return null. Okay. So let's go back here. Let's pull this out. We're not going to return null. We're going to end the dialogue. But we don't want the word US to come into this result. Okay, I'm a bit concerned. This doesn't feel like the right thing to do, but as you saw, things don't seem to work very well unless we continue the dialogue. Try and understand what's going on. Let's try and understand what's going on. We start the conversation, hit 4. It asks for the country, we submit. We hit here. We save any changes to the conversation state. And that's the end. You see, it thinks that's the end of the turn, but it hasn't continued into our dialogue. So we do want to continue dialogue, but if we do that, if we do a continued dialogue, then results isn't containing the JSON from the postback. It still contains US. So I'm struggling, viewers, I'm struggling. If anyone's got any ideas. Brendan, welcome to the stream. I'm in a bit of a struggling situation here. The code looks good as far as this piece is concerned. Typing in a country manually, overriding the Okay, so I'll show you what's happening. So let's run up the bot. And our emulator. So what we're trying to do is enable users to kind of circumvent our menus by typing in their results. So if they, instead of just hitting this submit button here, you might get some user that types in United Kingdom. They don't want to use the menus, they want to type in United Kingdom, and they hit return. When we hit here, rather than there being some JSON in this return object here, it's actually got the word United Kingdom, but that word was actually consumed in the prior stage, this prior step of the dialogue. So here is where they actually did they actually typed in United Kingdom in this step. It passed it through. We detected whether there has any JSON in there. So we detected the country code or whatever, and we pulled it back correctly. What's happened? It's gone through. We've displayed our time zone card, prompted for a time zone, but that message has gone through here, and we haven't kind of paused for this to this time zone card to allow the user to submit. It's fallen straight through. I wonder if that's it. Okay. So we've got a breakpoint there, but let's go over to our chatbot class and stick a breakpoint. So it's this, you see, because we're trying to detect the post back, but the user didn't get a chance to post back by pressing the submit button on the second adaptive card, because it already said, well, I haven't got a post back, but I have got some text. Okay, let's put a breakpoint here. Let's put a breakpoint there. Let's follow it through again. Restart the conversation. Hit that one. So here we are. We're starting a conversation. We go through. We type in US. Hit return. We come back here. So results.status says we're in a waiting state, so we're in the middle of a dialogue. So we're in a dialogue. Channel data, we step over that. Channel data doesn't contain a post back because we didn't post back. We typed in the word US, so it's going to skip over that. So now the user choice is US. So we say, okay, what's the status? The status is waiting. So we're next going to fall into this part of the switch statement. So then it says continue dialogue. And I think that's the problem. Because I don't think you're supposed to have code in dialog turn status.waiting, because it should just do the next step in the dialog automatically because it's in the middle of it. Yet we're having to issue the command continue dialog. So what that is doing, we've still got US in the text. We haven't waited for the user to push the submit button, so we can go round again and catch that post back in here. So you can see that in the dialog context dialog context activity activity text, is it? Activity text contains US. Okay, I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure. We seem tantalizingly close. So when we've processed the country, we've now got our country code. Let's set step context.result. We've plucked that out of the step context. We don't need it anymore. Don't like this. Let's set it to the empty string. This seems like maybe we can't set it. Cannot be assigned, so we can't reset that. What else have we got on step context? Yeah. We need to kind of pause. We need to allow it. No, it's the problem, Brendan, is that neither of us are unsure what to do. So you, me, and Rambling Geek, so we're not familiar enough. Can't do that. The confusion I've got with this is, why do I have to do anything at this point? Shouldn't it just drop through? So what we're trying to do is detect if the dialog is in fact complete, because for some reason it's not being set to complete. Let's comment this out again. Let's comment that out. Run it up again, but we'll go through the slightly longer process, which is to use the option number 2, find out when a stream is broadcasting next. Now we haven't got a time zone selected, so it's going to ask us for a time zone. Let's skip over that. So we're going to type in US here. Submit. Now we typed in US, and now it's asked for that. It hasn't fallen over here, is it? Because we've not got that code. We're going to submit. We're going to select, I don't know, Knox, and now it's stuck. No, it's the dialogue just freezes. But you see, it's continued because we've this is what's confusing. You see, we've now given it some text, and now it's asked for it's continued to the next stage. That's what that continued dialogue was doing. It was kind of forcing it to move on without us having to type something. And now we can type in dev chatter, and it will give us. It'll go and query dev streams and come back. I think dev streams is asleep at the moment. We'll try that again. Because I'm on a free tier up in Azure. You see, yeah. It seems to me we need that piece of code, and it's messing with our bot to have that code in there. So we do need it. So this is looking more and more like something I'm going to have to try and deal with off stream, because I haven't got any ideas. Microsoft Bot Framework, yes, Rambling Geek. Yeah. We're kind of falling foul of using adaptive cards and having to detect the post back. So, in attempting to accommodate users, in attempting to accommodate the user, we're having problems, aren't we? To allow them to type in United States or US, it all kind of works for that part. Dark Tower Build, thank you for the follow. Bad Builder, thank you very much. Let's have some electric hype for that. There we go. That's the Electric Alf. Thank you very much for the follow. It's really appreciated. Thank you, Dark Tower Builder. So, Rambling Geek says custom action global binds a custom action to the bot so that it process information or take action without affecting the dialog stack. Use onSelect action option to customize the functionality of this action. So I don't understand the what custom action or onSelect action is. I've not come across that. Okay. So it's this step that's the problem, isn't it? It's come through into here. So what we're doing is, at this point, we're persisting the data. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to shelve that bit of code. I'm going to stop working on that for the moment. And I think I'm going to need to dig a bit deeper into the framework. Maybe that what Rambling Geeks posted there about onSelect action might be the clue. Yeah, I know, Rambling Geeks. I do appreciate the attempt to come up with something. It is a waterfall conversation, yes, but what we're inside a nested dialogue. So we're in a dialogue which is in another dialogue, because we've kind of we've extracted the individual dialogues into components. That's a good point. So we've also got we've kind of got a base class, or we're extending this cancel and help dialogue class, in which we're overriding the onContinue and the on begin dialogues. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. This is where we're looking. This is what we did last time, looking at interruptions. The problem with me is I don't like leaving things not working. But it kind of does work as long as you do the happy path. It's sad path programming we were trying to kind of get sorted, and I thought we were really, really close at that point when we got it to accept a country code that's been typed in or a country name typed in. And it's because it's circumvented the postback. So it's interesting, isn't it, that when you reset a breakpoint here, reset a breakpoint here. If I run this up, restart my conversation, hit this, submit, and I hit there, the result status is going to be waiting. I continue. Now it's waiting for a submit. And it all works then. I didn't go through twice. It's because it detected a postback, and whatever was in activity.txt got overwritten with the JSON from the postback. That's why it works. We've forced it round to the top, and it says, "Oh, I've got a postback now because someone just hit a submit." But before, we didn't get a postback. It went through, we continued, and that text was still in the activity.txt. So can we affect activity.txt here? Turn context dot activity.txt equals string dot empty. So we can do that. It's not going to help us. Not going to help us. But let's have a look what happens now. Feels like we're kind of having to jump through hoops to do something which you'd have kind of hoped worked. We type in US. Let's return. Then it moves straight through without waiting for the submit. Now that's interesting. Took a breakpoint there. Restart the conversation. Hit that. Type in US. Hit return. We've gone to this. We're going to step through. Okay. So what we need to do is put a breakpoint inside the conversation, don't we? So we're in the set time zone dialog. We're going into the set time zone. Is that the step we're at? So we've got the country code. We've grabbed the country code. We displayed the time zone card. So we're now in this method, the persist data step. Let's give that another go. So we'll Restart the conversation. That was send welcome message. Okay. Set the time zone. Type in US. Press return. So we're now in our persist data step. Our result contains US still. So what we would hope it would contain would be the time zone, because we displayed the time zone card, but it skipped over it. There's no way around it, is there? And now we're going to go into here. It's not a JSON object, so we end the dialogue. So it's not a JSON dialogue. Do we want to? What do we want to do? We don't want to end the dialogue. Do we just want to try and fall through? That was my idea initially. We just fall through. What else can we do other than end dialogue? So I wonder. So here we want to return that. At this point, step context top. We can cancel all dialogues, continue dialogue async, or we can replace the dialogue, or we can reprompt dialogue async. I wonder what that does. So it's a I'm not sure what doing return null is a great idea, but we'll try it. I'm going to try this one more thing. FuelSnowball, you're interviewing interns. Is this the 50 interns you were going to do with a kind of 2 to 3 hours each? On some kind of exercise that they were going to go through. You were telling me about. You had a few good ones, but everyone's using Python. And you want a particular language you're looking for, or you're just looking for evidence that they're kind of programming literate and can pick up a new language. What am I doing now? I want to go into here. Let's restart a conversation. I'm pretty sure this won't work, but let's. So we type in US. We've hit here. So that's gonna. We're not going to pass the JSON. It's not. So then we hit reprompt dialog async. Return null. Continue. And it went wrong because we return null, I wonder. It wants us to return a dialog turn result. Return dialog. Oops. Return dialog turn result dot waiting. No, can't do that. I think we've been defeated at all turns here. Nothing wrong with Python. FuelSnowball says, I think it's interesting that the language of choice in school these days. Linksup says, reminds me I should apply for more jobs. So Rumbling is saying that to FuelSnowball, the idea of interviewing for a programming position scares me so much. Yeah, I think you've got to be a bit careful how you approach that task. I certainly don't agree with some of the techniques people use, like whiteboarding, and I think the only way is maybe a pair programming is the thing to do, but work on a cat or something. But it depends how long you've got to give these people. 50 interviewees for an intern job. I can't see you be able to give them an awful long time individually. But your mileage may vary. Maybe you've got that amount of time to spend on interns. You're trying to put forward to go to portfolio. That's a great idea. So GitHub is your friend there. So you want to be able to show people your code. Yeah, it's a good starting point, isn't it? I mean, when you can talk about your own code and the idea that the interview question, what's the difference between an array and a linked list and all that kind of rubbish. I just don't agree with those as type of questions to ask programmers. But maybe that's me. I tend to go on a lot of gut feel about personality, whether they're a good team fit, a cultural fit. Obviously, they've got to show some knowledge of programming, but I don't want to ask silly questions or get them to write a piece of code on a whiteboard. It doesn't seem to actually achieve anything. So you sent them a programming test. You set them one or sent them one. You got 15 responses. Like I say, so you actually sent that out. That's a good idea. You got 15 responses. Of those, you selected 5 plus candidates for further investigation. Now that is a good idea. So they do some kind of task ahead of time. If they actually cheat on that and kind of just copy it all off the internet, they ain't going to be able to answer questions about how they did it. So they're going to need to know what they've done in order to kind of to pass your interviews. So that's a good idea for your Snowball. Well done, that. So we're trying to return a dialogue turn result. So what else is there on step context? I think I'm going to give up on this particular piece of logic very soon. I wonder if we just reprompt. I wonder if that's what we do. But how do we get back into this dialogue? Into this turn result? We want to reprompt the dialogue. And then we want to wait. Oh, I don't think this is right. I think we're barking up the wrong tree trying to do this. I'm going to take that code out. I don't like that code at all. But let's just give it one chance. So we're going to type in US. We're so close on this. It's very annoying. We've hit here. We continue. Ooh. But it didn't actually work. It did pause, didn't it? And it let me submit. But we'd actually... No, that's interesting. What actually happened? We didn't end the dialogue. We paused at a prompt. I want to kind of replay the last step. That's what I want to do. Step context. Let's just stop this. Step context dot. Come on. Can end a dialogue. Next async will go to the next step in the dialogue, but there isn't a next step. Do we make a next step? Do we have a false next step? We need to figure out what the difference between reprompt. Replace is no good, that's going to replace the entire dialogue. What's on the stack? on the stack, on the top of the stack, let's just put in stack 0 for now. What's in there? There's an ID, there's a state. It's almost as if we want another step, which is persist data step again. Okay, let's give that a go. It's kind of almost comically naff though. Let's create another step. I'm going to call it that for now. I don't like the name, but we'll worry about that in a bit. I don't like this. Don't like it. We stop or we just move on to the next one. And the next, step 2 is simply a way of catching it. So here we get the result again. This time it should be a piece of JSON because, well, it could be anything, couldn't it, at that stage? And this time, no matter what happens, that's the end of the dialogue. This is so naff as a solution. Do you have that word in the US, naff? Don't know if it's a British expression or not. It means it's useless. It means it's not very good, really. When a dialogue is invoked, it takes control of the conversation flow. Even every new message will be subject to processing by that dialogue until it either closes or redirects to another dialogue. Yeah, it's wanting to be able to do the step again, isn't it? Until we get good data from the step. New York Times, isn't it? See, it's worked. It does work as a concept. It gets us past the problem with the person typing in the first things. If they now go reset my time zone, you type in GB for Great Britain, hit enter. It should come with United Kingdom time, and if here you type in something else, like, I don't know, maybe we just don't let them type anything else at this point. They've got to choose a time zone. If they typed in Europe/London, return, it just ignores them because it doesn't understand. So we've actually overcome the basic problem, haven't we? So if we do this and they type in Wakanda, then we just give them universal coordinate time and they say okay. Then we say, well, we've done it. Yeah. Yeah. That submit is really quite important, isn't it? Well, we've got over the initial problem. It's not great though, because this could last forever. We want to find a way of repeating the last dialogue step. So we do this because this step 2 is simply exactly the same as the first one. And it will keep, what we want it to do is to do that again and again and again until we eventually hit end dialogue, because we've got good data. That's what we want to do. So Rambling Geek says, oh, so you says, I would rather spend the time to make sure I fit the company. So what was that in reference to Rambling Geek? So I'm a bit kind of, my mind's kind of whirring a bit about restarting dialogue steps. There must be a way of redoing a step in a dialogue. You can restart the entire dialogue. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe that's what we do if they drop out of here. Yeah, maybe that's what we do. If they drop out of step 2, we actually restart the dialogue. So restarting the dialogue is relatively easy. We need to know what the current dialogue is, and we do know the current dialogue because it is the dialogue we're in, the set time zone dialogue. So we try that. We do need to do something about magic strings, but we'll just do a magic string at the moment. So it's set time zone intent. So what we'll do, instead of doing end dialogue there, we'll do replace dialogue async, and we're going to replace it with the current dialogue. Otherwise we're going to start the dialogue all over again, and pass in a cancellation token as well. But we're actually going to say as well, await, oh dear me, step context dot context dot send activity async, and we want to do a message factory dot text, please select a time zone from the drop down menu, drop down list, and hit submit. So maybe we can get kind of round this by trying to get the user to do what we want and just keep him stuck in the loop until he doesn't do that. We've kind of let them get away with typing their country code or the name of their country, but we're not going to let them try and get away with typing a correct time zone designation, an IANA time zone ID. Let's give that a go. Build error. What happened? Missed a semicolon. Okay, let's give it another go. I've got lots of these bots sticking up here. Let's get rid of that. Let's restart our conversation. We're going to go here. We're going to type in US, hit return. We're going to go Europe, London. We're going to hit return. We're going to say no, you must select a so now it's displayed both. So it's almost right, isn't it? We want to do the last step. We want to do the last step. Repeat the step. So, So we can cancel all dialogues. The active dialogue. Continued dialogue async. Continued dialogue. Just move. Does that just moves on to the next? Or well, let's try it. I'm not sure that's the right thing, but we'll continue dialogue. We don't need to pass a cancellation token into there. Okay, well, let's try that again. Right, restart. Hit that. Type US. Hit return. Has that worked? Okay. It's kind of okay, isn't it? It kind of it's not done. It's not done anything. It's basically saying you need to set the time zone. Hit submit. I think we're going to leave it at that. Body Q, thank you very much for the follow. You can have some electric hype. There we go. Thank you very much for the follow. That's very kind of you. Yeah. So if they select United States, and here they just type in any old rubbish, we say, no, you've got to type it, select the time zone from the list. Try again. But we're not showing them the time zone. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at that. Yes, yes, Rambling Geek, we're going to get some sound effects for that electric Alf there, and even for the hyperspatial hype, which is this one here. We're going to, I think, try and find a little kind of sound effect for that as well, just to play. I'm not sure what the electric one should be like electric sparks, but I need to find that sound effect or create it. This one I'm not quite sure about. So those, anyone who doesn't know, those are Fuel Snable's work with his shaders, and they're wonderful. Okay. I'm not overly happy, but at least it doesn't fall over. So we've kind of mended the sad path. It's now not falling over. It's bringing us back to a good state. It's given a message which doesn't really make a lot of sense, because the next thing they see is the full menu again. But we could change the message, and in the meantime I can try and find a way, because continued dialogue here isn't really continued, it's actually ending the dialogue, because we've reached the end. This is the last step, so automatically going to end the dialogue. I want to replay the last step. I want to replay Persist Data 2. In fact, here I don't want to re-prompt, I just want to replay Persist Step 2 at that point. Let's put a few to do. Don't really want to do this. What I want, what I really want is to replay this dialogue step. To do remove this when replaying dialogue step is sorted. So we'll leave those pieces of text in there. and we know we've got some work to do. And it may be that you can't do that. Look at the link above. Yes, I've seen these samples. This is a basic multi-dialogue. Okay, let's look at the dialogues. So we've got an age, we've got a root dialogue. Look at this. Oh, this is old. This is old stuff, is it not? This is too old. This is April 2017 Rambling Geek. So this is Bot Framework 3, and a lot of this is it's in Bot Framework 4. It's completely rewritten. Yes, I know. I've done exactly the same thing. It's quite confusing. So on the documentation, you need to make sure you've got SDK4 highlighted, and then when you go into your samples and you hit the Bot Framework sample repo, you land on here. Where they've rewritten all of the whole website's been changed. It's actually changed. When I first started this stream, this was completely different for the first Bot Framework stream. This was a different website, and they've done a new README, and they've done all kinds of things, and they've rewritten all of the bots, even between 4.2 and 4.4. But is there a multilingual bot? Timex resolution, complex dialogue. Okay, I've seen this one before. This is simply a branching. So this is where they oh, that's actually. You know what they've done? That's the way we do it, isn't it? That's the way we do this. We split these dialogues. We split the dialogues up. So I'm going to do this off stream though. I don't think it's something I want to play around to make sure it works. So what we did when we had our dialogues, we created a when next dialogue, which had the time zone determination within it, and then we pulled out the time zone determination to its own dialogue, and then simply in here, when we wanted to know what the time zone the user had, we said if we haven't got one, just begin the time zone dialogue within here. So we pushed it onto the dialogue stack. So what we could do is we could take this time zone dialogue, and we could have getting the user's country as a dialogue, and getting the user's time zone as a dialogue. And then in this step, if we're not happy with the result, we simply replay the last dialogue, which will be the get time zone step dialogue. That's what we need to do. Now I daren't start that now, not at 9:30, so I need to kind of wrap up the stream. But that's what we need to do. So thank you, Rambling Geek. I think you actually you hit us onto what we need to do. Yeah, so we need to split it down into even more sub components, which is usually kind of the answer in the end, isn't it? Is to extract methods. In this case, we extract dialogues, and then we've got more control over them, because we don't seem to have control over steps, but entire dialogues we do. Well done. Thank you very much, Rambling Geek. So that's great. That's what we're going to do. So I believe we have running code. So let's just check we have running code before we check this into GitHub. Because I do want to check the code in so you can go and play with it if you want to. Let's make sure it does actually run. So we can select that. Hit submit on United States. We'll hit submit on Denver. And then we'll select a streamer, and we'll type in Def Chater. Actually, let's type in Dev Chatter. So Dewey, thank you for the follow. That's very kind of you. Let's give you some hyperspatial hype. There you go. Now bot's thinking about Dev Chatter. And here's Dev Chatter's card. So let's come up. So we have got running code. So it's okay to check this in. We've got some to-dos. We can restructure the code into even more sub-dialogues. I may do that off stream, but I may do it on the next bot stream. So our next stream is going to be our fuel stable special F# stream on Monday. We're going to do some parsing in F#. We're going to create a parser and do a few other things. We're going to then show a parser framework and show how that the equivalent code. And by doing the actual parser manually, we're going to learn about how that works. Building a parser from scratch with Fuel Stable on Monday at 9 o'clock in the evening UK time, 8 o'clock in the evening UTC. So do join us for that. That's going to be a really kind of different stream. Fuel Stable is going to join us audio only on Skype, and we're going to have a bit of fun with F#, so that should be good. Thank you, Ancient Coder for the and you Rambling Geek for the kind words. Okay, let's go and find someone to raid because we need to close the stream at this point, I think. So let's go to my channel. We're going to have a bit of a freaky me appearing multiple times. Marco Jolly, thank you for the bits. That's very kind of the cheers. We kind of got somewhere, but I think we've got a plan now to actually get this working correctly. Who have we got? We got Lucky. So let's go and thank you for those bits. We'll go and raid Lucky. I think that's the best thing to do. Fellow UK streamer. So do stay with me if you wish to transfer to Lucky number 11. Otherwise, have a great evening or afternoon wherever you are. Thank you for joining me on this slightly different time. It's been great to have you all in stream and in chat, and enjoy the rest of your week. We're going to raid Lucky number 11 now. So do stay with the stream. Post loads of alfs if you've got alf emotes. Otherwise, your favourite emotes into chat as we transfer now to Lucky number 7.